Hi everyone, welcome to this week's discussion board presentation on public employee unions. So the union I chose to do for my presentation is the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. This is one of the larger public employee unions in the nation with 1.4 million members, and some of the members or union categories covered under this union are nurses, corrections officers, childcare providers, emergency medical technicians, sanitation workers, and many other categories. This union is comprised of 3,400 local unions spread over 46 states, where every local chapter writes its own constitution and designs its own structure to fit the needs of the personnel and employees that they represent, and they set their own dues. For a more zoomed in look at this union, I chose to look at the local 3299 chapter, which is the University of California's largest employee union, which comprises 24,000 employees that it represents. It has employees represented from all 10 UC campuses, 5 medical centers, numerous clinics, and research laboratories throughout the state. So after the Janus ruling back in last year in June, a few months after the ruling, when numbers came in for union members, this local chapter only saw a reduction of a little over 100 union members. So it was a lot less than what was predicted after the ruling. The president from this local chapter in an interview was asked, what this meant long-term for the influence of the union. And the president pretty much said that, even though now that they won't be able to automatically collect union fees, they'll just have to do a better job at really getting the word out and letting employees know the benefit and of being part of the union and all the pros that come with being part of the union and the good that the union does for the workers. So just the increase in outreach and communication for the union, and they'll just have to do a better job showing that they're worth the money. So I came across this article titled "Right to Work for Less: How the Janus versus AFS CME Threatens Public Health." This article was published right before the ruling came in favor of Janus. One of the takeaways I got from the paper that was interesting was the paper is already assuming that the court was going to most likely rule on the side of Janus just because of the way the court was leaning conservatively. So what the paper is talking about was, since the unions really highly depend on the union fees in order for them to work and function properly, in order to influence politicians and be able to negotiate for better employee work conditions and better pay, that maybe now unions are going to be more likely to enact or be more inclined in partaking in aggressive tactics such as strikes. So in the article, they predicted that unions are going to be more aggressive in order to maintain their influence, and most likely we'll be seeing a lot more strikes in the future, since that's the only thing they have left for negotiations and wielding their power. And one of the articles also talked about with a lot of contracts with city and public employees, there's always a clause saying that some certain employees are not allowed to go on strike. They're prohibited from going on strike. But this was partly because the unions were guaranteed a union fee. Now that the union fee has been taken away, or the mandatory union dues have been taken away, those clauses might be removed from the contract. So then certain employees or certain unions that were once not allowed to go on strike, that clause might get removed, and you'll see more different public sector employees having that ability to strike. The two news sources I used to learn about the Wisconsin Act 10 bill were the Wisconsin Public Radio website and the MacIver Institute website, which is a free market think tank website. One similarity between the Janus ruling that we've been learning about this week and the Act 10 bill is that they both eliminated automatic deduction of union dues for employees. So if an employee or public worker didn't want to join a union, they were no longer forced to pay up the union fees for being non-members. Although there were some differences, the differences were that the Act 10 bill was a lot more aggressive and far-reaching. It limited the collective bargaining of employees to just wage negotiations, and it also forced workers to increase their contributions towards health insurance and retirement plans. Depending on which side of the aisle you are on this Act 10 bill, you could say that the bill has actually done good for the state. According to the MacIver Institute, shortly after 5 years after enactment of the bill, the state has saved over $5 billion in taxpayer monies. Whereas other sources, such as the Wisconsin Public Radio, says or shows that a lot of unions and employees have seen a drop in their benefits since the enactment of the bill. So there's pros and cons to both sides of the aisle. Here are the references I used for my presentation. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing your presentations.